I hope you didn't see that. I just kind of casually tripped over my block on my way back there. I'll just adjust this little monitor, so I hope that's okay for everyone. So, welcome again to another fabulous week of yoga with Amy. Woo, woo, woo. And I'm going to start by saying some really lovely news, which is that I am pregnant, and we're just starting to share the news now. So if you've noticed that I've not really been doing many of the postures or not been kind of working as hard as I usually work, then that's why. Oh, I've just got a comment on there. Oh yeah, monitor down a little bit. Okay, thank you, my love. Hope that's all right for everyone. Move my little bit of paper out the way. So yeah, just to share that news with you all, my lovely yogi friends. So yeah, that's why my belly's been looking a bit bigger than usual. I haven't been just eating loads of pies just before we started our class each week. So what I might do is from now on, I might give you a few slightly more difficult options, which I think I was doing anyway, but then you'll know why I'm taking the slightly easier option. So that's the first bit of news. The next bit of news is obviously we've made it this far. We're on week 8 now of the 10 weeks of happiness. And that means that we've got more things planned for you, or I've got more things planned for you for after the 10 weeks. So keep a lookout in your emails. I'll also do a separate video on YouTube about it and share stuff on Facebook and Instagram over the next few weeks to let you know what's coming up. But just to give you a teaser, it's going to be something that will bring us all together, and so we can do a bit more yoga together rather than me just here sort of telling you what to do all the time. So that's another exciting thing. I need to say again, thank you so much to everybody who has donated for this block of classes and for people who are continuing to donate. Well, when I say donate, I mean pay for the class, and then I will donate half of that to my local hospice here, who are still doing amazing work out in the community and with patients at the hospice as well. So if you do want to make a contribution, the info is in the description there about how to do a PayPal payment for the class. And I think that's all the admin stuff out of the way. I'll let you know that for this class, we are working on our feet. So 2 things we don't often pay that much attention to, but 2 things that we should. And maybe your feet have been thanking you recently if we're less on them, if we're sort of at home a bit more and kind of giving our feet a bit of a break. So we're just going to look at our feet and making sure that we're nice and flexible in our feet, but also that we use them to create a really strong foundation for all of our postures, especially obviously our standing postures. So what you might need, or what you will need, is you will need a strap. So grab something, whether it's a strap or a tie or something, and just have that near you before you lie down. And then you will also need at least 1 block. So grab yourself a block. You can also use books or something, and we'll be using that at the beginning as well. So have that right near you. And then the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to come to sitting down on the mat to start with. So I hope you can all still see me and hear me. Obviously, if there's any issues with sound, video, whatever, just drop me a little message in the chat box there. And what we're going to do first is, as we sit down, I mean, you can sit in whatever way is comfy for you. You can sit on a chair if that's better. We're just going to inspect our feet, which sounds very odd, but it's something, like I said, that we don't often do. We don't give a lot of love to our feet. So we're just going to start by looking at our feet and maybe just touching and maybe giving our feet a little bit of a massage there and saying, well done, especially if you have actually been on your feet, maybe at work or walking around, doing a lot more walking. So we're going to give our feet a little bit of a massage. Don't forget to include both of them. Don't have a favourite, otherwise I get very jealous. Just have a little look at them, have a little feel, just rub the feet, just send a little bit of love to our feet as we sit here and just kind of, yeah, just enjoy our feet, because they do a lot for us and we don't often give them enough thanks. And then as we look at the feet, if it's possible for you to look at the underside of our foot, so the sole of the foot, and I'd like you to just have a look at, we've got the ball of the foot, and there you've got sort of the ball at the big toe, you've got the ball at the little toe, and then at the bottom, you've got the heel. And what we're going to be thinking about today, when we come to a standing up posture, is thinking about having the weight evenly balanced as we stand up between the ball of the big toe, the ball at the little toe, and then the two sides of the heel as well. So if you think of it as like four corners of your feet, and right now you can take your finger and you can point to these four corners, 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure we've got the four corners, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then just kind of imagine as we are standing up, so we can take the feet out in front. So just imagine that as we stand up, we've got the weight coming down the legs and traveling into those four corners of the feet. And it can help to look at the feet from the top as well. So look at the tops of the feet and then just think about those four corners again. So at the top of the big toe, top of the little toe, then the two sides around just sort of underneath the ankle there. So now that we've given our feet a little bit of loving and we've thought about those four corners, we're going to stop being so hippie with our feet and we're going to come to lie down and start to work a little bit on the breath, but obviously not forgetting about our feet. So come to lie down here. Take the backs of your hands down onto the mat. Close the eyes if that feels okay. And you may find that as soon as you close your eyes, especially if you've been in this class before, or you've done yoga before, you might find that instantly that closing down of the eyes just helps to switch you into that yoga mode, into that mode where you're thinking about your breath, into that mode where you're letting go of anything that's happened so far today, and into that mode where you're giving yourself, your whole self, permission to be in this present moment and to really enjoy the next hour or so of your yoga practice. So see if you can allow the body to relax into the mat with every single exhalation. And if you do know what's going on in your mind in terms of things that might be taking up a lot of mental space at the moment, just acknowledge that and just send that away for a while. We can pick that up after the class or maybe tomorrow. So just acknowledge anything we've got going on, and with every exhalation, just try and let that go. We don't need that right now. And then bring your attention back to that inhalation and exhalation. And with every inhalation, imagine that you're drawing energy up from your feet, and that breath is traveling up through the feet, through the legs, up through the belly, through the arms, all the way up to the chest, the neck, and then through the head, and send the breath out through the top of the head. So that's your inhalation. The breath is traveling all the way up and out through the top of the head. And then on your exhalation, imagine that you're bringing that breath back down through the body. You're sending that breath and that energy all the way down. And this time it roots out through the feet. So at the end of the exhalation, the breath has then traveled all the way down and out through the soles of the feet. And then again on the inhalation, imagine the breath traveling all the way up. So it's just visualizing the breath traveling up and down. Imagine that with every inhalation, the breath is lengthening the body. So you might even be able to relax the arms down, relax the feet away a bit more, relax the head away a little bit. So there's a lengthening happening on the inhalation. And then on the exhalation, imagine that that breath And that energy that you're sending down through the soles of the feet is actually rooting the feet down into the earth. So if we imagine for a moment that we're actually standing and our feet are standing on the ground, we can imagine that with every exhalation, the breath is rooting our feet to the ground. And we're going to come back to that when we do start to move in to a more standing posture. We're going to imagine that the breath is lengthening our bodies on the inhalation and helping to root us down into the ground on the exhalation. But for now, we're just going to gently take the head from side to side, so looking over to the right shoulder, very gently, and looking over to the left shoulder. Try and coordinate that with your breath. And when I say looking over, it doesn't mean that you have to open your eyes yet, so feel free to keep your eyes closed for now, but continue to move, sending your gaze over to the left and then over to the right. And then we're going to take the arms up overhead, flex the feet towards the sky, and we're going to imagine again that the breath, well, we don't even have to imagine, we can feel the breath on the inhalation, elongating the body, traveling through the spine and elongating through every bone in the spine. And then exhale, we're going to tuck the knees and we're going to hug the knees in towards the body. So exhale, let it go, nice relaxed shoulders here. And then inhale, we're going to come back into that really strong and long position here. Imagine that the breath is lengthening the body and then rooting us down through the feet on the exhalation. Inhale and then exhale, take the knees in towards the chest. So here you might want to go a bit crazy, you might want to rock and roll, make it your own, but try and move with the breath. So we're going to inhale again, take the arms out to the back of the room and take the feet so that the soles of the feet are pressing towards the wall in front, lengthening and rooting on an inhalation and exhalation. Then when you next exhale, bring the knees in towards the body, have a little bit of a hug here, relax the shoulders, and then we're just going to take the ankles in a few circles here, looking after our ankles as well as our feet. And then just make sure we've done that in all directions. And then we're going to spread the toes. So it's as if you're spreading your fingers out wide. In fact, you can do both. You can do fingers and toes because we need to look after the hands as well. So we're going to spread the fingers and spread the toes wide. Just make sure you can see me there. So we're doing this with our hands and with our toes whilst we lie down on our backs. Spread the fingers, spread the toes. On an exhalation, we're going to clench the fingers, clench the toes. And it's always impossible not to make a face while we do this as well. So we're going to clench the fingers, clench the toes, and then inhale, open up the fingers, spread the fingers and toes, and then exhale, let's curl the fingers, curl the toes in, clench the fists and clench the feet as well. As if you're trying to hold a pencil between your feet. And if you've got a pencil nearby, you can test yourself. And then you'll know that if you practice this quite a lot and you try and hold that pencil between your toes, and one day you can finally hold that pencil so it doesn't fall out, you'll know that you've been doing a good job of your toe exercises, which is something we don't often do, but it's really good to keep your feet nice and strong. And then exhale, we're going to take the knees in towards the body. We're going to take the right foot so that the sole of the foot touches the ground. And here we're going to take our strap, open it out, and place the strap around the ball of the left foot. And then just as we do in most of our classes when we're doing this stretch, is we're going to start off by taking the leg out straight, but maybe not quite vertical yet. Just work to make that leg really nice and straight so we can feel the hamstring stretch here. And then inhale, we can slowly start to lift that foot towards the face. Take a few deep breaths here. And again, on the inhalation, imagine that you're lengthening and start to bring the toes towards the face. And on the exhalation, try and press through the heel and straighten out that left leg. So inhale to lengthen and exhale, press through the foot. Inhale, bend the knee, release the strap, maybe give your foot a little bit of a circle again. Take the left foot down, and then we're going to take the strap around the ball of the right foot. We're going to send the foot up, but maybe not directly to the ceiling just yet. So working on having the right leg nice and straight first. And if that's enough, then stay here. And if you wish, you can start to move the toes towards the face. So as long as you can feel that really nice stretch in the hamstring, then don't worry about where your leg is. No one else can see you, so just work with your own body. Inhale and exhale here, and then inhale, think about lengthening through the leg and lengthening through the torso as well. And then exhale, think about straightening the right leg and pressing through the heel to really feel that stretch in the hamstring. So inhale, you might be able to bring the foot towards the face. Exhale, you might be able to straighten the leg a little bit more. And then inhale, release the strap and maybe take a little circle with the right foot. And then this time we're going to bring the left leg up so that both feet are now in the air. And we're going to take the strap around both balls of the feet. Yeah, that's the right way to say it. And then we're going to try and straighten the legs out. Maybe don't go vertical yet. Straighten the legs out and press through the heel. And so you want to try and keep this little dip at the lower back. So you want to try and keep that little lift there as we start to use the strap to bring the soles of the feet towards the sky. You don't need to have your legs vertical at all. We're working on this hamstring stretch. So if you can feel it, then you might be happier to stay exactly where you are. Flexing the feet, pressing the heels up towards the sky. And again, think about on the inhale, lengthening, making sure that our upper bodies are nice and long as well, and bringing the feet towards the face. And on the exhalation, really think about sending our energy up through the heels, rooting into that imaginary thing that we're standing on, the imaginary ground that our feet are pressing into. And then exhale, release the strap. That is quite hard work on my feet, so I'm going to give my feet a little bit of love and just kind of circle the ankles here, maybe shape the legs out a little bit as well. That feels really nice. Then we're going to take the soles of the feet down onto the mat, and we're going to have a little block here. And we're going to use the block first just to try and get the action with the legs when we go up into a bridge. And then we can always take it away. But you'll notice that it really does help with that. So we're going to take our block or our book, we're going to place it in between the thighs here. So I'll just show you that in case you can't see. So we're placing the block here in between the thighs, and we're lying down on our backs, and we've got both soles of the feet down on the mat here. And from here, I always like to have the palms of my hands face down so that I can really start to root into the hands. And we've been talking about rooting a lot. Speaking of which, we're going to root down now into the feet. So have your feet maybe not too close to your bum. Maybe give yourself a little bit of space here. You can play around with that positioning. Press into the hands. Inhale, begin to lift the pelvis here and start only a couple of inches or centimeters and start to feel that the legs are now hugging towards the center. So your thighs are rotating inwards and they're hugging that block to keep it there. Whilst you're thinking about that, also think about the 10 toes of the feet pressing down into the mat. You can lift the 10 toes off the mat and press them back down. And then exhale, lower the body back down. So we only did a teeny tiny bridge, but it's quite a lot of things to think about and quite a lot of work. So let's do another tiny bridge together. Press into the hands to ground you in this position. Press into the feet, maybe lift the toes off the mat and place them back down. think about those 4 corners of the feet that we identified at the start of the class. Press into those 4 corners of both feet. Lift the pelvis on an inhalation, just a couple of inches, and feel the thighs rotating towards the block. So this is also really good to get that alignment with the knees, so that our knees are not going out to various different sides, and then we don't put extra pressure on the knees. So we've got really good foundation with our feet, and we've got an amazing grip and that internal rotation of the thighs as well. So exhale down. Feel free if you want to get rid of the block now, or you can keep it there if it helps you, or maybe have a go at doing it both ways. So pressing down into the feet, inhale to lift the hips, and see if you can try and re-establish that internal rotation of the thighs here, so as if you're squeezing a block if you've let it go. Pressing down into the feet, and just make sure that your glutes are nice and active, your thighs are nice and active, and then maybe you can lift up a little bit higher, taking the breath up and down the body. Exhale down. If you tried that one without the block, maybe we'll go into a full bridge with the block this time, just to see. Press into the feet, inhale to lift the hips. Maybe this is easier for you, it's giving you more support around the hips and the pelvis. Maybe you preferred it without. Just notice if there's anything different in your knees, in your feet, in your bum, when you are like with the block or when you take the block away. And then exhale down. Okay, we're going to do one more of your choice, whatever you want to do. Have a play around with the feet if you felt like they were too far away. Bring them closer if you felt like they were too close together because we have the block there. Then you might want to step them wider than hip width. It's all about your body and what feels best for you. So rooting down into the hands, into the toes, engaging the thighs, tilting the pelvis, and then inhale, let's lift. Maybe we make this quite a big one. If we've got the feet sorted, we've got the thighs sorted, and then maybe we clasp the fingers together underneath the back and just try and lift up through the chest. Take a few deep breaths here, maybe 3 breaths. Think about the feet rooting down. Think about the thighs rotating in so that the knees don't flare to the sides. And then after breath number 3, we're going to come down and we're just going to gently bring both knees in towards the body. Have a little rock and roll, really gentle. And then we're going to take our feet down. I like to have my feet a bit wider for this next little twist, but you can have them wherever feels comfy. I'm going to take my arms out into that cactus position, which I will also get up and just show you. So this is a cactus position, which if you've not got tons of space like me, can be better, or you can have your arms in a T shape as we lie down. So come to lie down and position your arms, and we're just going to take the legs out to either side. So I like to have my legs a bit wider here. Inhale. And then exhale, allow the legs to come over to the left side. Look towards your right hand. So when I say legs to the left, they don't have to touch the ground on the left, but they might do. And then inhale back to center. Exhale, send the legs over to the right side. Look to the left hand again. Just move with your own breath. Inhale back to center and take the legs wherever feels comfy. So if it's to just move in smaller movements from left to right, then that might actually feel much more comfy. If it's to take the legs all the way down to the sides, if you can do that whilst keeping your shoulders down, just moving from the waist and the hips now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a stronger option here for your twist. You can zip the legs together and you can lift your feet up off the mat slightly, and you can move your legs to the left and right without taking the shoulders off the mat. But that one is a bit stronger, so I'm going to stick to my windscreen wiper legs, as they call it.
but you might want to lift the feet, keep the legs zipped together, have that 90-degree angle with the legs, and then take the legs from one side to the other. So once you've done that a few times, come back to center. We're going to take one more big stretch. So inhale, take the arms overhead, take the feet out long, flex the toes towards the sky. And then maybe we sigh it out. Sighing it all out. And then we're going to roll onto our right side, and we're going to use our hands to come up very gently here. And then we're going to work our way towards a tabletop position. So just sort your mat out and maybe have some padding underneath your mat. And just going to redo my hair here. But we will all meet in our tabletop pose. And in our tabletop position, what I want you to do is, oh no, we'll do some cat-cows first, ignore me. So we're going to start here with our hands underneath our shoulders and our knees underneath our hips. A little bit of engagement in the belly so that we're not completely flopping down, or and then a little bit of engagement through the shoulders so that we're not flopping down in the shoulders either. So you can see when I press into the hands and I lift up through the shoulders, then I get that really nice neutral spine. I'm also thinking about inhaling and lengthening from my tailbone here all the way up to the crown of the head. So I'm thinking about all these different parts of the body. So I'm not letting anything go loose and floppy here. And then inhale, bring the chest up towards the wall in front of you. And then exhale, we're going to bring the hips forward. We're going to round through the spine. We're going to press through the fingers, and then take the head down and look through the legs. Inhale, we're going to press the chest towards the wall in front. Exhale, we're going to round through the spine. And then do that a few more times just to warm up the spine. So trying to get that maximum motion and maximum mobility through the spine. You might want to look from left to right here. You might want to have a wiggle like we did last week, I think. Or you might just want to work on your regular cat-cow. So just see what feels nice for you here. And then come back to your neutral spine here. We're going to take the mat away. Sorry, we're not going to take the mat away, we're going to take the blanket away. And then we're going to step the right foot forward. Use the hands to press the left foot forward as well. Bend deeply at the knees. And then we're going to see if our hands will come to the mat here. And then we're going to take our head and just look through the legs here. So we're coming to a forward fold, but a very loose forward folded, nice bent legs here. And if you are happy to hold it here for a moment, if not, then you can slowly bring yourself up. If you're happy to hold this forward fold for a moment, then just think now about these four corners of the feet and see if you've got your weight evenly balanced here. And see if you can maintain that balance as you inhale, bend at the knees, and then start to gently come up, maybe moving through a half lift and then coming all the way up slowly. So see if you've managed to maintain that lovely weight distribution through the feet and that strong foundation through the feet as well. So I'm going to come to the middle of the mat, and what I want to do here is again establish this nice strong Tadasana pose. So we're going to work on our mountain pose for a minute, which we don't always spend a lot of time doing in yoga. So we're going to lift all the 10 toes off the mat. We're going to press the 10 toes back down, and we're going to think about those four corners of the feet. So we've got the big toe ball, we've got the little toe ball, and we've got the two sides of the heel. And then we're going to have a little groovy float around forwards and backwards, side to side, and then just make sure that we've got our weight when we come to the center. Make sure that the weight is evenly distributed down through the feet. And then we're going to take 3 lovely long breaths here in our Tadasana. So you can close your eyes if you want, if your balance is okay.
Inhale, think about lengthening up all the way through the spine, all the way up through the crown of the head. And exhale, think about sending the breath all the way down, rooting through the feet. So just as we did at the beginning of the class, we're sending the breath down, we're rooting through the feet so that we feel evenly balanced in terms of the energy coming down through our bodies to root us down, and then the energy coming up to lift and lengthen. So taking maybe one more breath here. And then keeping this strong foundation from the hips down, we're going to take our right hand onto our hip and we're going to inhale, take the left hand up. And then exhale, we're just going to bend towards the side. So taking a stretch into that left side of the body. Inhale to lift up and open through the chest, open through the shoulder. Try not to crunch forward here. And then exhale, and then lowering that hand a little bit, maybe stretching into the left side a little bit more. Inhale, come up. And then we're going to go on the other side. Inhale, the right hand comes up, and exhale. Inhale to lift, maybe bringing that shoulder back a little bit more, opening through the chest. And then exhale, bringing the right arm over the head a little bit more, stretching through the right side of the body and sending the breath to the right side of the body. Inhale, and then exhale down. So I'm going to come back to the front of the mat. If you're not there, then come to the front. And from here, we're going to inhale, take the arms up. Maybe we take a bit of a back bend here, which means that we're just lifting the chest up, sending the chest towards the sky. And then exhale, we're going to bring ourselves forward into that forward fold, keeping the knees nice and loose here. So the belly comes down towards the thighs, the hands come down onto the ground, and then you're allowing your head to relax through the legs here. So take a few deep breaths here, still keeping that strong engagement. Oh, my nose has gone funny. That strong engagement with the feet onto the mat, and taking a few breaths here. And then from here, we're going to inhale, take the hands onto the thighs, come up halfway, and then exhale, come down. We're going to plant the hands onto the ground. So just as we did with our feet, we're going to create that strong foundation with our hands, and we're going to try and tippy toe back into our first downward dog. So we can press through the feet here, press into the hands to lift through the spine, and we're going to try and rotate the biceps out as we lift up through the spine. And then bending into the knees to really get that lift. So our aim here is to lift through the spine to start with. Taking a few breaths here. And now we're going to give our feet some love. So we are going to start to walk through the feet. So we're going to send one heel back, bending the opposite knee. Then bend the other knee, send the other heel back. If your heels don't come to the ground, that is absolutely fine. That is not the aim. The aim here is just to get a little bit of movement into the toes. So we're trying to lift that heel and then press our little toes into the ground. Do that for a little bit on each side, and you'll notice this gives you a nice hamstring stretch as well. And then from here, we're going to bring the knees down towards the mat. We're going to open up the legs and come back into an extended child's pose here. Or if you prefer, or if you need to be, you can take the arms forward. I know I've taken my legs back, so I've run out of mat space. But you can take the hands forward and come down into puppy pose, keeping that 90-degree angle between the legs. But like I said, if you can, then come down into your child's pose here and just take a few lovely deep breaths. Notice if the feet do feel a bit different just after that little bit of downward dog. If you are on your feet a lot and you don't stretch the soles of the feet, that might have been quite a stretch for them. So just notice if you can feel that stretch now.
And then press into the fingers, gently lift back up into your tabletop position. And I'm going to come towards the front to show you the next thing we're going to do. No, I'm going to stay to the side. So what we're going to do here is we're going to tuck the toes, and this is optional at any time. Feel free to untuck the toes, but have a go. We're going to tuck the toes here, and we're going to try and bring the hips back down onto the feet. This might feel odd or even a little bit painful for all sorts of reasons. So if it is painful, then you can kind of come into this halfway version. What I'm aiming for is to come all the way up into Vajrasana here, thunderbolt pose, with our toes tucked. But if that's not okay, then maybe just come here and take some of that pressure off. You can also try rolling up a blanket and placing it at the back of your knees, and then maybe you'll be able to come up like this and just start to work into the toes here. So take whichever version of this you need to. If you want to have your hands down on the mat and just tuck the toes here, play around with bringing the weight back and then coming forward again. Or if you want to be really hardcore, like me, you can tuck every single little toe under, make sure we've got all the toes tucked. You can come all the way back into Vajrasana, take the hands to the heart center, and try and take 3 deep breaths here without making a face of pain. Because, well, I always say you shouldn't be in pain in the yoga class, which is true. But this should just feel like a very deep stretch. And like I said, if it really, really is uncomfortable or painful, then please come forward, untuck your toes, and then you can come back to this kind of regular Vajrasana whenever you've had enough. So see if you can stay there with your toes tucked, and then everybody come forward now and just tap the tops of the toes on the ground, make a bit of a noise. And then we're going to come up with our left leg. So we're going to bring the left leg up towards the front of the mat. In fact, I should have said we can pad the knees here as well. So bringing the left foot up, we're going to inhale, come up into Anjaneyasana. Again, you might want to have a little bit of a back bend, taking the arms up, lifting the chest towards the sky. And what I want you to think about here is really trying to tilt the pelvis forward or under so that we can get that really deep stretch in the thigh. But I also want you to think about this front foot and the positioning of that, and just make sure that the knee is nicely aligned. And then this is just a really good place to practice all of our alignment for when we go into something like Warrior One. So you've got that front foot here, the knee is not coming over that front foot. You've got your weight evenly distributed so that from the head to the knees, yeah, is that the right way to say it? From the head to the toes, basically, you've got your weight distributed and coming down evenly rather than tilting forward or tipping back, is what I was trying to say. So from here, inhale, come up. And then exhale, come down. We're going to take the hands behind the back. We're going to interlace the fingers and then just try and lift the chest here. Again, try not to tip the pelvis too much so that we start to lean forwards here. Want to really try and lift up. So we're using that back leg as our foundation, and we're also using this front leg as our foundation. The rest of the body sits vertically, but we're just using this little clasp with the hands to lift the chest here into our back bend. And smile. And then exhale, take the hands down onto the ground, release that left leg. That was quite a lot of hard work on that knee, so just take a moment to have a little wiggle here. Come back to your tabletop position. We're going to inhale, take the right foot up. And when I say take the right foot up, I mean try and establish that 90-degree angle with the right leg and with the back leg. So we need to just maybe have a little wiggle here to make sure we've got that all sorted. And then we're going to inhale, take the hands up, maybe a little back bend here. And then exhale, bring the arms down. Take a look at that front foot. Make sure that it's firmly planted into the ground. So we've got that strong foundation with the front foot. The knee isn't doing anything weird like coming out to the side or coming forward. Take a look at your body now. Make sure that that is vertical. I think that's the word I was looking for before. So we're inhaling and lengthening through the spine, and then exhale, rooting down through that front foot and that back leg. Make sure the pelvis isn't tipping us forward or back. So maybe have a little tuck of the pelvis, and you can really feel that stretch in the front of the back thigh, the front of the left thigh. Then we're going to inhale again, press into those front toes, lift up. So a little test of the balance. Exhale, take the hands down and clasp the fingers together. Press the fingers down and lift the chest without wobbling forwards, back, side to side. So we've got that really strong foundation with the front leg and the back leg. And then exhale, we bring the hands down. And then from our tabletop position here, we're going to just take a little bit of a twist. So we're going to take the left hand into the center. Inhale the right hand up. Exhale down. Right hand into the center. Inhale, right hand up. Exhale down. And then again, inhale up. Exhale down. Just flow that a few times with your breath. Inhale up. Exhale down. And then just continue that for a few moments. Oh yes, I know what we're doing now. I think we still need our little blanket here. And we're going to take the block again, and we're going to place it in to the thighs. So the long edge should be facing forwards so that we've not got the short edge kind of poking out, because we'll find out in a moment that that could be a bit painful. So make sure that it's kind of flush with your legs here. And what we're going to do is we're going to come back to tabletop, and then we're going to exhale. We're going to bring the sit bones down. You might not be able to get all the way down with your block. And then we're going to inhale back up to tabletop. Exhale, tuck the toes under and lift the hips up and back into down dog. And just see if you can first establish that long spine here by pressing into the hands and lifting up through the sit bones, and then see if you can start to bring the heels towards the ground. Inhale, bring the body weight forward. So we're coming into plank. You might need to readjust the hands like I just did, and squeeze the block between the legs. Don't want to hear any clunking. And then exhale, bring the knees down. So now we're in a bit of a longer downward dog, which is more suitable for our plank. No, we're not. We're in a slightly longer tabletop, which is more suitable for our plank. So leave your hands where they are. Untuck toes. We're going to come down into our child's pose. Bringing the forehead to the ground if you can. Inhale. I want you to come up with a rounded spine. So think about inhaling and coming up into that cat position. And then when we get here, moving more into that cow. So bringing the chest up towards the wall, tucking the toes under, and then we're going to lift the toes and come into a downward dog, maybe a slightly longer downward dog than before. Press into the fingers, lift up through the spine, and then start to work the heels down towards the ground. Inhale, come into your plank. Look, we're perfectly positioned now for our plank, and really try and squeeze the block. So send the heels back, squeeze the thighs, and then I'll allow you to lower the knees down here. Come back into your child's pose. So I like the block here because I think it gives our minds something to focus on in our legs. We don't always think about our legs in these positions, but if you want to have a go now without the block, then feel free. So coming down, untucking the toes, coming down into child's pose. Inhale, come up. Oh, I did that wrong. So we're going down into child's pose. We inhale, come up through our rounded cat pose. Come into the cow pose. tuck the toes under, lift up and back into your downward dog, pressing through the fingers and then pressing through the heels as well. Inhale, come into plank. And now imagine we've got the block here. We're squeezing the legs, we're pressing back through the heels. And then exhale down. We'll do that one more time. So you decide if you like the block or if you want to get rid. So coming down into child's pose. Coming up through that rounded position. Inhale. Into cow. Tuck the toes under. Come up into down dog. Move with your own breath. So decide what breath it feels nice to move on here. Press through the fingers, lift up through the armpits. Exhale, come back into our plank pose. And then we're going to lower the knees. And then we're going to come down into child's pose. And we're just going to take a moment here. So taking 3 deep breaths in your child's pose whilst I sneak some water. And make sure that we've not forgotten anything. And then from here, we're going to come back up into our tabletop position. We're going to step the left foot up and then the right foot. We can get rid of our blanket here, our padding. And then we're going to inhale, bend the knees, come all the way up. And then exhale, bring the hands to the heart center. Now you'll be at the top of your mat, but I'm going to come here. At the top of your mat, I want you to close the eyes if that feels okay for you to do so in Tadasana. And again, just establish those 10 toes rooting down. And then think about inhaling, lifting up through the spine and exhaling, rooting down through the feet. We're going to keep our attention on our feet. As we inhale, step the right foot back into a warrior one position. So we want to have, much like the Anjaneyasana movement that we did before, we want the left and the right feet to be a little step away from each other, so not on a tight rope. And then we want the right toes pointing towards the front right corner of the mat. So once you've got that, we're going to go through our little checklist. So we've got the front knee bent. Check that you can still see the left foot and make sure that the whole foot is grounding into the mat. And then you feel like it's grounding down and you're also feeling a lift up through that front foot. So the front knee is bent, but it's not going in any random direction and it's not tipping over the front toes. Check your body now. Make sure that your body's vertical. Maybe you've got your hands at the heart center or on your hips, or maybe you're going for the full warrior one and you've got your arms in the air, but make sure that you're not tipping forwards or tipping back. And then check the back leg, and the back leg is just as important as the front, obviously, because otherwise we won't be able to do this pose. So you've got all 4 corners of the back foot rooted down, and you'll notice that in some group classes and things, maybe people are really trying to go for it all the way here and they can't actually get the back heel down, but they want to look like they've got a really big warrior one, which isn't getting into the pose properly, because we want to make sure that this leg is fully supported and that we are stretching and strengthening this back leg as well. Bring the hips to face forward, take the hands at the heart center, and then we're going to inhale, we're going to straighten that front leg, take the arms up, and then exhale, we're going to bend into that front leg, coming into our warrior one. Inhale, straighten that front leg, bring the arms up, and then exhale, bend into that front leg. Take another one like that. Inhale, come up, and then exhale, come down. This time we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back, come into that nice back bend here without leaning forward just yet. Then we're going to press into that front foot, straighten the front leg, and we're going to start to fold from the hips. So just see how far down you can come, and you'll be able to feel that strong stretch on the hamstrings of that front leg. So it really helps to press into the big toe on the front foot to make sure that we're not completely popping that leg back, that we've got a little bit of resistance here with the leg so that we're getting into the belly of the hamstring muscles. Inhale and then exhale, bend the front leg. We're going to bring the hands up and then hands come to the heart center. And from here, we're just going to begin to step the back foot up, but we're going to bring ourselves, oh, and I realize I'm too far forwards now. Just imagine that didn't happen. And then we're going to start to bring our weight into that front left foot. We're going to start to come up into a warrior three, in which we need to have both of the hips pointing down. And that's the most important thing to start with. So we're going to root down into the standing leg, and then we're going to rise up through the standing leg. Try and keep the spine nice and long here too. And then if you feel like you can, maybe bring the back leg up, flexing through that back foot. So there's a lot to think about: a strong and straight standing leg and a strong and straight back leg. And then exhale, bring the back foot back down into your warrior one. And then we're going to step forward. So don't worry, we're going to have another go on the other side. Coming to the front of your mat. Inhale and exhale in your Tadasana. And when we check the time, so always, oh, not got ages, not got ages. Make this a good one. So come to the front of your mat. Inhale and exhale, establish that beautiful, strong Tadasana with those beautiful, strong feet at the base of this posture. And then we're going to step back with the left foot. Again, we've got a little bit of a gap between our front and back foot so that they're more on train tracks than on a tightrope. The back foot is pointing towards the front left corner of the mat, and we've got a little bit of a bend in the front leg here. Make sure this feels comfortable for you. And by that, I mean that you've got both feet rooting down into the mat. You feel really stable in this position. So we'll go through our little checklist. Front foot grounding down, knee not doing anything weird. We can still see our toes over our knee. Upper body nice and long and vertical. And then the back foot is completely in contact with the mat. And we're pressing down through the back heel, lifting up through the back leg to get that nice stretch. And then we're going to inhale, take the arms up, and we're going to straighten that front leg. Exhale down into warrior one. If this feels really comfy for you, maybe take that front foot forward a bit. Maybe you need a bigger warrior one. But just work with your own body. So as we start to do this movement, you might want to make adjustments. Inhale and down, just keeping the feet as the really strong foundation of this posture. Inhale and down, and then we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back, come into that beautiful back bend here, send the chest up, and then we're going to straighten that front leg. We're going to start to bend from the hip crease here. Inhale and exhale. Really press into the front toes, the big toe of the front foot. Inhale and exhale. See if you can go a little bit further. Maybe that's enough to feel that really deep stretch in the hamstring here. And then exhale, we're going to release the fingers, bend into the front knee, come all the way back up. Warrior one, bring the hands down to the heart center. And this is where I'm going to shuffle, but you can stay exactly where you are. So we're going to start to take the weight into the front foot, and we're going to try and lift the back foot off the ground whilst keeping both hips pointing down. Don't forget to look at something on the floor to hold your gaze. Maybe that's far enough for you. Oh, that is for me. We're going to try and press into that standing leg, lift and lengthen through the standing leg, press away through the back foot, keep lengthening through the spine, And then maybe we bring the back foot up and the upper body down. Inhale and exhale here. And then elegantly come back into warrior one like it was no problem at all. And we're going to send the hands up again, just for good luck. And then exhale, whoa, step towards the front of the mat. And give your body a real big shake here. You've done a very good job. And obviously, that's one way to work into our warrior three. We've not spent loads of time on it. We've not even done it twice. So if you did want to have another go at that before you come down into relaxation, then have a go, practice your balance. But for everybody else, we're going to come to the top of the mat. Inhale to rise up through the spine. Exhale, root down through the feet. Bend the knees. We're going to come into our Uttanasana forward fold. Spend a few breaths here. Take the hands down onto the mat. Going to step back with the right foot, step back with the left and bring the knees down onto the mat. Come down into child's pose and just spend a few breaths here in a really relaxed child's pose now. So we can take the forehead down. We can tuck the arms by the side of the body. Allow the breath to travel all the way through the back of the body, allowing the body to begin to relax before we move into our relaxation posture. And then come back up slowly into your tabletop. And from here, just gently bring yourself to a comfortable lying down position. So that might be with the soles of the feet on the mat and your body down on the ground. It might be with your legs out long. You might want to, oh, that was a bit aggressive. You might want to grab your blanket here and place the blanket over your body to tell yourself that you're going into this lovely relaxation now. Ooh. And then when you're here in a place that feels really nice and comfy, just firstly allow the body to make any movements you need to get comfy, like mine is. Allow the feet to fall out to the sides. Backs of the hands on the mat. And we're just going to start to tune into the breath. Allowing the breath to return to its natural rhythm. And then taking your attention to your feet first of all. Obviously, this is the area that we've been working on today, so notice if they feel different. Notice if you're holding any tension there and maybe just wiggle around to release some of that tension. Allow the toes, allow the ankles, everything to fully relax. Take your attention now to your legs. Just feel as if they're sinking into the earth and being held here with absolutely no tension in the legs, in the leg muscles. Just allow it all to float away. Taking the attention to your hips, to your bum, to your lower belly. And just make sure that there's no tension held here. Make sure you're not clenching the butt cheeks or clenching the belly, the ab muscles at all. Your belly should feel soft so that when you inhale, the breath naturally allows the belly to rise. And when you exhale, the breath falls and the belly falls with it. Taking your attention to the whole of the upper body, and just as we did with the legs, just allow it to completely sink into the mat, to feel really nice and supported here. You don't need to use any muscles in your upper body right now. And again, allow the whole of your belly, your back, your chest to be really nice and soft so that you can feel the breath moving through it without any obstacles there. Taking the attention to both of your arms, and again, just allow the arms to be held by the earth. Make sure that you're not putting any effort in to hold the arms at all. So no tension in the fingers and no tension around the tops of the arms or the shoulders. And finally, take your attention to the back of your head, allowing it to be held by the earth. And then allow all the muscles of your face to completely relax here. And take a few nice, soothing breaths, thinking about the whole body being held by the ground. You don't need to put any effort in right now. And feel free to stay in this really peaceful posture. It's so good for our bodies to have that time to relax. But I'm going to gently bend my knees up, and I'm going to roll onto my side, and then I can come up and say goodbye here. But please do stay in that position if you finding it really, really nice and relaxing, because it is so good for us. And so I'll just say again a huge, huge thank you for joining me for week 8. Happy feet. I hope you find that later on today and tomorrow your feet are really nice and happy, and grateful for the fact that you've done this little yoga sequence with me. And also again, thank you to everybody who's made a payment for the class. It's obviously really important for the hospice, and I can't wait to let you know how much we've raised at the end of week 10. Take good care of yourselves. We're still in this terrible lockdown situation and we don't know how long we're going to be here. So please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you for another one next week. Bye.